Okay, so we're going to do a combining like terms whiteboard activity to kind of just go over what we did in our instructional book. So I want you to go ahead and take out your yellow folder with your dry erase marker. If you don't have that, then on a loose leaf sheet of paper is where you will do this activity. Okay, we're going to go over and we're going to do 5 problems together. Okay, to kind of make sure that you're understanding and you can combine these like terms. And then you're going to have an activity to do where you have to do 10 of them. And you're going to turn in the 10 for a grade. So you want to make sure that you are trying your best. You're going through this with us. So that you're getting a good understanding of how to do this combining like terms. You do have this in your classroom as a slide. However, you do want to just be doing the activity along with us on a piece of paper or in your yellow folder on your dry erase. Okay, so combine like terms. Your activity is going to end up being on Kami, so that's why I wanted to do this video with Kami so that you could see what you would be doing there. So we have negative 5x minus x. So go ahead on your whiteboard and write down the problem. Okay. Next, we want to box in our terms. So how many different terms do we have here? Okay, good. There's only one term. There's just the x. So when I'm boxing them in, I only need one color. So I have negative 5x. That is 1. Now currently it says 2 terms, but we only have 1. We will only end up with 1 term because they are both x's. So we are able to put them together. Remember, terms are separated by subtraction signs or addition signs. So here's where it's separated. A subtraction sign is what I see. So that's where I'm stopping my box. And then I'm going to put a box over my second term, which is minus 5x. So some of us, we had talked about the fact that minus 5x or negative 5x minus x is the same thing as, and you don't have to write this part, but we had gone over it in some of my classes, but not all of my classes. Okay, and we said that this would be negative 5x plus a negative x if we rewrote the subtraction as addition. And I said, instead of making you write it as an addition problem every single time, let's look at this. This was saying take away x, and this is saying the same thing. This says take away x, negative x says take it away. So really, these are the same things. Subtracting x and taking away x are the same process. So you could say your subtraction sign is the same as a negative sign, or a negative sign is the same as a subtraction sign. So we're just boxing them in to kind of be able to see those. So we're adding them together depending on the signs. If they have the same sign, we add them, and if we have different signs, we subtract them, just like we would with integers. So on these, they both have the same sign. They're both negative. So this is negative 5, this is negative, and it's an understood 1. So what we have a total of there is we have a total of, let's see, can I go 96? We have a total of negative 6x. Okay, and that would be our answer, negative 6x. There's only one term here because they're both x's, and so then we were able to combine them together. So negative 5 and negative 1 equals negative 6. We're combining we're looking at the number in front of that variable, which we call our coefficient. So our coefficient is what we're actually putting together, and we put it together just like we would integers. That was one of the reasons we wanted to make sure we were going over integers in one of our previous warm-ups. Okay, so you have a few that are like this. Your whole left side is going to go down to one term like this when you're doing it on your own. Okay, but we're going to do some more difficult ones together to get a little more practice. Okay, and these problems will be like the ones that you have on the right side of the activity that you're going to be doing. Okay, so let's start out with boxing in our like terms. So how many terms? We are starting out with 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. However, there's an x and an x, so that is one term. And then we have a 6 and a 10. Those are called our constants. They aren't going to change at all. So we will end up with 2 terms here. So I'm going to box in my x, and it stops at the plus sign. Remember, terms are separated by addition and subtraction signs. So I'm going to change to blue for my plus 6. It doesn't have an x behind it, so it is not like the x. I'm going to switch back to pink for the minus 6x. Remember, you want to make sure you're getting that sign in there. And I'm going to switch back to blue for the plus 10. Okay, and you can choose your own colors, that's fine. Okay, so we want to put together our like terms. So we have 1x and we have negative 6x. So we're putting together 1 and negative 6. Okay, and if you need to, that's 1 minus 6. Oops. Is what we're doing. Well, 1 minus 6 equals negative 5. Don't know why I can't get this. Maybe I'm not allowed to go out of the lines there. Okay, so 1 minus 6 is negative 5. It would be the same as 1 plus a negative 6, which is still negative 5. So I have negative 5x, and then I'm doing 6, positive 6, and positive 10. Well, positive 6 and positive 10 is a positive 16. They are like terms, so we are adding them together. Sorry, not like terms. They're both positive, that's why we're adding them together. The other ones, one was positive and one was negative, that's why we subtracted them. Keep the sign of the greater absolute value. Okay, so our final answer, and we always start with the letter. So negative 5x plus 16. That's not 6. 16. That is combined like terms. We can't do anything else with that. We have negative 5x plus 16. Those are not like terms, so you can't combine them together. Okay, let's try another one. So go ahead, write this one on your board, try it on your own, and then play the video to check your answer. Okay, hopefully you wrote that on the board, on your board, and then you boxed in your terms. So we did our constants in blue. So our constants were the ones that didn't have any variables with them. And then my variable, I'm going to do in pink. So negative 2n is the variable. So we can only put together what's in blue. Well, they're both positive, so therefore that means we're going to add them. And then I told you we always start with the variable. So we're going to write negative 2n because there's nothing else we can do with that. There isn't another pink box. There isn't any other like term. So we're starting with negative 2n. And then 7 and 1 are both positive, so it means to add. And we're going to get a positive answer because they're both positive. So plus 8. And that's our answer. Okay. Okay, so the next one, write it on your whiteboard or your loose leaf sheet of paper, wherever you're writing it. Go ahead and write the problem, pause the video, and try it on your own. Remember, you want to make sure that you're not just writing down the answers, you're not going through this quickly and not learning anything from it because you have an activity that you're going to end up doing on your own. So you want to see what mistakes that you're making before you get to the activity that you have on your own. Okay, so I am boxing in my like terms. So I got 4a. And the sign that's in front of my a here is the negative sign, so I need to include that. So those are like terms. So I'm going to put them in the pink boxes. I've been putting pink boxes around the ones that have variables and blue boxes around the ones that do not. And we call those our constants. I do know, like, you're working with your dry erase marker right now, and that's not going to give you different colors on Kami. When you're doing this activity, you will be able to use the different color boxes like I am. You could box them in and then underline, so we could put box all of our terms in and then like put 2 underlines. We would probably want to use some straight lines there actually. Let's try that. This would be another way we could identify when we're just using the same color. But that's why I like Kami, is because we will be able to color code it. And you wouldn't normally get to color code if we were just, if we weren't working on Kami. We didn't have the Chromebooks. So I like that. And then I could do 1 underline underneath these. And I tried to do that other one long enough. And then 2 here. That would just help to identify when I'm using one color is with underlines. So the color coding just helps me to be able to see which ones are my like terms. So underlining it can help you to be able to see which ones are your like terms and which ones you need to put together. So you could use underlining, you could use maybe different shapes if you only have one color, maybe do a square and a circle, but make sure that you're getting in your sign that's in front of it. Okay, so like I said before, you should have started with the one that had a variable with it. So we have 4 and we have -9. Okay, so they have different signs, so we're subtracting. And we keep the sign of the greater absolute value. So the 9 has a greater absolute value. So my answer is going to be negative. So I'm going to start with negative. You can't see it because of where I wrote it at. And then we have to subtract 4 and 9. Well, 9 minus 4 is 5. And then I can't forget my variable, because if I do, I might think I need to combine like terms a little more. And then I have 3 and 10, and they're both positive, so therefore we're adding them. They have the same sign. And we're keeping the sign of the greater absolute value, which is a positive 13. Okay. I think this is the last one. Yep, this is our last practice. So make sure, go ahead, write it down, box it in, do all the things, combine those like terms. Let's look at it. How many terms should we end up with on this one? Once we've combined it all, we're starting with 4. How many should we end up with? Good, we should end up with 2 because I see I have some with v's and then some with no variables at all. So I should end up with a v, and I should end up with a constant, one that does not have a variable. Okay, write it down, try it on your own, and then play the video to check yours. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go to our rectangles. I'm on blue currently, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. Blue was always my constant, my number without a variable. So I have 10, and then the next one is a plus 10. And then I have negative 5v and positive 3v. Okay, we always start with our one that has a variable. So I'm looking at my pink boxes. Negative 5v and positive 3v. Okay, well, they have different signs. So different signs means I'm going to subtract. Keep the sign of the greater absolute value. So I'm going to have a negative 5 minus 3 is 2v. And then I have my blue boxes. I have 2 positive 10s, so they have the same sign, so we're adding. We're going to keep the sign of the greater absolute value, which is positive, because they're both positive. And 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay. And you can always, I did not make copies of that for y'all. So same, whoops, let's shrink that a little bit. We can take a little note. Same sign, add, different sign, subtract, keep the sign of the greater absolute value. Those are our integer rules for when we're adding, and we can consider this adding if we consider that where it says subtraction, instead of thinking of it as subtraction, as this is just a negative sign, because adding a negative is the same thing as subtracting a number or subtracting a positive. Okay, I hope this helps. You're going to go on to the combining like terms activity. There are 10 questions for you. Remember, the first 5 are going to end up looking something like this with 1 term left. And the last 5, the 5 to the right, are going to end up something like this with 2 terms. Okay? I hope this helps. Thanks. Bye.